Greetings to you viewers from across the globe. You're welcome to the show Viewpoints, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. I'm your host, Odiawa AI for Veegil Media. You will do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across various social media platforms. And don't forget to download the Veegil app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Welcome once again. On the show today, we will be talking about the Kaduna State bombing, its mishap, and the carnage which has followed ensued. But first off, as always, which we will begin with, we will start with the headlines making the rounds in the political space. Now, we have the National Assembly now rejecting the judiciary budgets. Now, the National Assembly Joint Committee of the Senate and House of Representatives on Wednesday, as of yesterday, unanimously rejected the judiciary budget. Now, the question is why? Well, it also gave the Minister of National Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, and DG Budget Office, Ben Akabueze, 24 hours to appear before it over poor budgetary allocation to the Nigerian judiciary and acts they believe compromises the independence and the ability of the judiciary to effectively function. Now, the judiciary has been actually allocated 5.3 billion naira for capital expenditure and 8.8 billion naira for recurrent expenditure in the 2024 budget. Now, this is according to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, who had appeared before the Senate Committee on Judiciary a few days ago to seek additional funding. Well, the minister argued that the committee to support the ministry as it was fundamental in driving the current administration's roadmap for the justice sector. I beg your pardon. We also await to see how that actually will turn out at the end of the day. Now, in other news, the new Civil Service Commission chair vows to tackle job racketeering. Now, job racketeering has been a cancer for a long time coming, running into decades in the Civil Service Commission of Nigeria. Now, the chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission, Professor Tunji Olaopa, has described as disturbing reports of job racketeering in the Federal Civil Service, promising to work with intelligence agencies to fish out culprits. He spoke on this as of yesterday, Wednesday, also after being sworn in with 11 members of the commission by the President, Bola Tinubu, at a brief ceremony that took place before the Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House, Abuja. Job racketeering, the whole cash and carry reputation of the commission, which I initially began by saying, quite disturbing enough, weeding out culprits and instilling institutional values will actually continually remain the key. Now, on another news, the EFCC has actually declared former Minister of Power, Ogunloye, wanted. The EFCC, the Economic Commission and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has declared a former Minister of Power and Steel, Olu Ogunloye, wanted. Now, Ogunloye is wanted on an alleged case of forgery and corruption. He had been quizzed over an alleged $6 billion billed operate and transfer contract. Now, the anti-graft agency was investigating officials from the Federal Ministry of Power and the Ministry of Agriculture for monumental procurement fraud back then in September. Now, according to the EFCC, the sums of 27 trillion 0.18 naira and $19.84 billion were recovered, which were meant for the Mambila and Zungeru power projects, but were diverted through subsidiary sundry, bureau de change operators. Quite sad enough. Now, the politician who also held the portfolio of the former Minister of State for Defense, the Navy, became a candidate for governor of Ondo State. Now, it appears he was also a former member of the People's Democratic Party and the Action Congress of Nigeria. Now, that's a wrap on the headlines making the rounds in the political space. We'll be back on the show Viewpoint. You're welcome back to the show. The show is Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. And I'm your host, Odiawa AI. On the show today, we'll be talking about the bombings and mishaps and carnage, which have actually plagued particularly northern Nigeria. Now, in what has actually fueled this case is the Kaduna State bombing recently, which took place some Sundays back. Now, The mistaken bombing of civilians at Tudun Biri village in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State by a military drone is another painful reminder of the vulnerability of civilian lives in the ongoing war against combating terrorism in the nation. Now, while the incident is most pathetic and deserving of all officials and unofficial condolences, it has attracted signposts that unless the war against terror is steered into a safe and concluding end, the likelihood of more innocent casualties will remain high in the course of the conflict. Now, though after all, reports indicate that the Kaduna State incident was the 16th of such inadvertent military assaults on civilian and innocent targets within 9 years. Now, frankly speaking, this is most unfortunate and calls for urgent strategic efforts and synergy by the various security agencies, not just the army here. We're talking about the Air Force, and even, fine, Kaduna State might not be a riverine area, but we want to believe that the borders in entirety, not necessarily northern Nigeria, but also every other nook and cranny of the nation. Now, according to reports, the villagers were on a peaceful procession which we call Maulud. And what is Maulud? A celebration of the birth of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, actually. Now, when a drone belonging to the Nigerian Army was fired at them, thinking that they were members of outlawed bandits hibernating in the locality. And this has been, just a mere hearsay. Now, the death toll from the incident may have reached 120. Now, this is according to Amnesty International. Also, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, had put the initial casualty figures at 85, while 66 persons suffered severe injuries. Now, the nation's director of Amnesty International, Issa Sanusi, said that its officials on ground counted over 120 casualties, with each mass grave containing at least 77 bodies. Now, that's quite no matter how low or high the figures may be, life has been lost here, and it's paramount that it should be taken into cognizance. Also, not forgetting the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Torid Lagbaja. Now, he described the deadly attack or airstrike as grave and regrettable during his visit to the site of the mishap. He equally apologized on behalf of the army to the community. Now, that is exemplary leadership, because if a leader needs his followers to follow him, he must also lead by example by showing that he can also follow. Now, government and people of Kaduna State also, he promised to guard against such an occurrence in the conduct of future operations, while investigations will be done to uncover the details of the airstrike. Now, His Excellency Bola Tinubu has also condoled the people, describing the incident as very unfortunate. Definitely is expected of the chief executive, because he is the overall father of the nation currently as we speak. Now, directing a thorough and full-fledged investigation into the incident, as he directed swift and comprehensive medical attention for the survivors. We want to believe that even the Kaduna State governor is not also left out in the whole condolence spree. Now, beyond apologies, it's high time tactical operations are conducted with utmost care and precision, as cases of deadly bombings and shellings on civilian targets have become too frequent or rampant. Might we recall, on the 17th of January 2017, a Nigerian Air Force jet mistakenly bombed an IDP camp, internally displaced persons camp, near Ran, the Cameroonian border between Nigeria, of course, Borno State, Nigeria. Now, that bombing left at least 115 people dead, including 6 Red Cross aid workers, and more than 100 people injured. Now, in that incident, the target was actually the Boko Haram insurgents, who were reportedly preparing to attack a military base. Major General Lucky Irabo, the then commander of the armed forces in the northeast, was reported to have ordered the airstrike. Now, this was quite, of course, another repeated mistaken issue of bombing a location. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari also described the incident as regrettable, a regrettable operational mistake as the military planned. Now, it's also another regrettable occasion now. Now, as the military planned an investigation to determine whether it was indeed an operational error. Not much was heard of that incident, and subsequent investigations was, sincerely speaking, thrown under the carpet, not to raise any dust over it. Now, after months of uncertainty, the Nigerian Air Force in June this year owned up to the bombing at Kawatiri, a rural community in Nasarawa State, which killed 39 people on the 24th of January this year. Now, according to Human Rights Watch, the HRW, its investigation confirmed that 39 people were killed with 6 injured. The people in Nasarawa State had reported 27 headers killed without providing details of the circumstances, and Governor Abdullahi Sule, who had claimed that no Air Force plane flew in that area at the time the incident occurred. Now, but the Human Rights Watch revealed that the herders had gone to pay ransom for their cattle that were apprehended by the livestock guards, a security outfit of the Benue State government that had actually outlawed open grazing. Now, it took the persistence of the Human Rights Watch to get details after they visited the community, thereby instilling calm. Now, more pathetic in the Kawatiri bombing was the failure of the police and the Air Force and the Nasarawa State government itself in entirety or totality to agree on the circumstance of the incident and put the minds of the survivors and their kith and kin to rest, to make sure that all minds are at peace. Now, it's unfortunate that those responsible for the incidents of this nature are not quick to admit, making it difficult for the people to accept their losses with the equanimity. Now, in any case, however, the army did better this time around. I would sincerely give them kudos for that, by promptly taking quick responsibility for the Kaduna mishap. Other bombing mishaps were either denied or underplayed, or, like I said earlier on, swept under the carpet. Now, it is on record that more than 425 persons, including children, have been killed by mistaken bombings between 2017 and 2023. The calm and understanding with which the people, I give them, thumbs up. The Tudun Biri are actually mourning their losses is actually commendable. Ordinarily, it should stir off some kind of immediate, should I say, chaos within the states, because this particular act was actually done during a religious ceremony, and it is common knowledge that in that part of the country, they take it very seriously. Now, but this is not the time for those responsible for using lethal weapons which are made in the days of peace to be extra cautious. There is no excuse for error of this magnitude, because there is need for being cautious, except to emphasize that it should never occur again. And in my own view, in my own opinion, there should be more tactical willpower to deal with the insurgents and their sponsors, because definitely you have people purchasing these small and light weapons or bombs which are used to consume mayhem. Not forgetting punitive measures, and this is where the Attorney General of the Federation should also come in to re-strategize prosecution plans, because once a punishment is actually meted out on someone who has erred, and it's quite stern, those individuals who wish to constitute mayhem again, which will now make the military embark on this mishap, won't have the liver or guts to come out to undo all sorts, because it's a known fact that these bandits were also embedded within the civilians, and that was what caused the whole mishap in the bombing situation. Now, much as national security cannot often be discussed openly, it is important nonetheless that terrorists, prospective recruits, and terrorism sponsors are shown clearly that there will be grave consequences for their actions. It is our hope that actually these pleas which I have actually suggested should be adhered to. If activities of bandits and terrorists are actually carried out in the open, their trial and judgment should equally be open to deter others and end this terrorist act. Before I draw the curtain on today's episode, sadly, the trust deficit also is another issue, particularly between the government and the people. It's quite huge. The gap is large. There is need to revamp the intelligence and surveillance sector or apparatus. Let the right information get to the military and let saboteurs be exposed and be dealt with. Nigeria cannot continue to afford to have compromised military or military personnel. And this is, frankly speaking, a time for the NSA, the Nigerian Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, to sit down and justify his appointments. I'm Odiawa AI for Veegil Media, and the show has been Viewpoints, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. You'll do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Veegil Media, and follow us across various social media platforms. Don't forget to download the app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Thanks for watching.